Hello everyone, this is me, Yashoda Bist, your history teacher. Today we are going to do Nationalism in India, second chapter of class 10th. See, in this chapter we are going to study about everything whatever we have done in class 9th as well in class 10th. First of all we started from French Revolution, then we switched towards Russian Revolution, then Britain, the condition, how was the condition in Germany, like dictatorship and all, and then the fourth chapter somewhere about the tribal movements and all in class 9th. And in class 10th we have studied about how the this feeling of nationalism started and spread throughout the world. Basically when the European countries, when the this concept nationalism started in France, they demanded for their rights. They demanded for a separate nation where they can share a collective identity, like a common history and common boundaries, language, religion, and national symbol, and a lot more. I mean, they were trying to unite themselves. So their movement was making themselves free from any ruler, like the monarch and all. Then this spread towards European countries, and all the European countries, they struggled against the colonial rule, and finally the European countries became independent. After that we seen a very dramatic time when these European countries, which became very powerful, and they started started proving themselves more superior, more powerful. Finally they had to fought a war, a great war, or a great world war, where most of the countries, most of the powerful countries, now they were facing each other. Few countries, they were under with central powers like Germany, Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and the countries which were against, like France, Great Britain, Russia, Italy, Japan. And after the involvement of US in 1917, the First World War was lost by Great Britain, Russia, Italy, Japan. uh, it was won by these countries after the involvement of US, and it was lost by Germany. Now see, Germany was a leading country that time. It was like world most powerful country. But the this the result of First World War, it changed the that you can say the geopolitics of world powerful countries. And the countries like Germany, Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and all the alliances, they lost the war and they had to lose their territories. And it was not just the war, it was a slaughter where the countries lost human resources and rest of the resources. It was destruction. It was the phase where the world faced crisis, hunger, and economic crisis, we can say, unemployment, and so many problems had to face to the world during 1914 to 18 and after that. And the world had gone to depression. It was known as the Great Depression. During that time, we can see that 1920 to 21, the world had to face influenza epidemic that vanished 12 to 13 million people, or the population of the world and that time. Now Britain was a country which just want to gain profit, and they want to prove themselves throughout the world. That was the time when these powerful countries, they started proving their power, or they started dominating other countries. First they were fighting for freedom, then they got freedom, and now they have started dominating other countries. And Britain was the most powerful country which started ruling over other countries like Fiji or China, we can say, or India, Sri Lanka, and most of the countries. When the Britishers were ruling over India, that time the Indian people, they were fighting against this colonial movement, this the against the Britishers. See, this here they have given us the First World War, Khilafat, and non-cooperation. So this heading we should divide in three parts. Like, first phase was of World War, where we participated. India passively participated. We were not active because we were under colonial rule. So people were forced to join the army. It was forced recruitment, where the British government, they compel the Indian citizens to join the war or join the army, and they participated in the war, and the result were great destruction. Now after this Khilafat, they have written, as we know about the defeat of Turkish Empire. Their Ottoman Empire was ruling, and we have already seen in first chapter that the Ottoman Empire, or the that this Ottoman Empire was ruling over the Balkan region, Greece, and most of the part of Ukraine and Middle East. Okay, so this after the defeat of Turkey, we can say the Ottoman Empire lost its control over the Balkan region, and the Muslim throughout the world, they united together, and they have started supporting the Ottoman Empire. And in India also, the Muslims, Indian Muslims, they started supporting the Ottoman Empire, and they were forcing British to give their territories back. Like, they want to support, they want a support of British government to the Ottoman Empire to rule over the areas. Okay, so here the Khilafat movement was launched by Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, or simply you can say by Ali brothers, and the Khilafat movement was started from 1919 to 1924. You can see just after the First World War, after the end of First World War, the Khilafat movement was started or launched in India. It was a worldwide movement. The Khilafat movement was not worldwide. The people who were supporting Ottoman Empire, they were from everywhere, from almost all the countries of the world. So and the Muslims, they were somewhere, they were in favor of that Ottoman Empire or Turkey, and they were pressurizing British government to give their territories back. Now just as the Khilafat movement was launched, in between Gandhiji also, he started non-cooperation movement. The main motto of this non-cooperation movement was to support the Indians who were fighting for their rights, who were demanding the independence for themselves. But somewhere Gandhiji also wanted to make Hindus and Muslims united. Okay, and after that Gandhiji, he gave the idea of satyagraha. After this whole scenario, after the World War and the Khilafat movement, the Muslims, they organized or they launched the Khilafat movement. So in between this, Gandhiji, he introduced his idea of satyagraha. Now where was Gandhiji before this, before 1915? Gandhiji was in South Africa before 1915, and in South Africa he was fighting against racial discrimination. And there also in 22nd May 1894, Gandhi established a Natal Indian Congress, NIC, which was fighting for the rights of Indians in South Africa. So his idea of satyagraha, like he influenced people, and he inspired people to devote themselves towards truth, and to follow satyagraha. So he protested in South Africa. Even the South African government arrested Gandhi in 1906. Finally, when Gopal Krishna Gokhale, he requested Gandhi to come back to India. So he came to India, and here again, as he started this movement in South Africa, same way he came back to India in 1915, and here also he introduced the idea of satyagraha. Right here we can see that the satyagraha was against the oppression, against the this British government, which was introduced by Gandhiji. Now, what was satyagraha for Gandhiji's? Gandhiji always, he was always famous to fight for non-violence, and he called satyagraha the dharma of people. Like it was the weapon of this like weak people who cannot have arms. So Gandhiji told this to them. Now, when Gandhiji became popular in India, there was a moment when Gopal Krishna Gokhale, he invited Gandhi to in the inauguration ceremony of Banaras Hindu University. So there Gandhiji was proposed to give his speech on poverty, and against the suppression of Britishers, like the racial discrimination, we can say. But Gandhiji was very surprised that, although that meeting was or that inauguration was held for the poor people, or against the racial discrimination, and to support the Indian nationalist movement, but he got that there were the rich people, there were the leaders of Congress, and most of the people are of British government. So Gandhiji, he started his speech. He started boycotting the English language. This was the first speech given by Gandhiji. It was in Hindi. He boycotted English language over there, and then he started speaking against the British government and against the so-called society, like the upper caste society. So suddenly he became very popular there in that in inauguration program. So Rajkumar Shukla, he met with Gandhiji in Lucknow. After the popularity, he became very popular. Gandhi became very popular. So Rajkumar Shukla, he met Gandhi, and he told him the condition of Champaran, and he invited him to join the Champaran Satyagraha or Champaran movement, which was against the indigo cultivation. And already we have seen that what was the condition of indigo cultivation in Bihar. So Gandhiji launched that indigo cultivation, this indigo Champaran Satyagraha in 1917 in Bihar. It was against the indigo cultivation. After that, as this was the phase when Gandhiji started his journey in India. So first movement was there's this Champaran movement. Then again he was called in Kheda in Gujarat. Okay, he was called in Gujarat by Mohanlal Pandey, who already organized the movement there. So Gandhiji again, he joined that movement, and he started Kheda Satyagraha in 1917 to 1918, and the leaders like Vallabhbhai Patel and Indulal Yagnik, they also joined Gandhiji in Kheda movement. After Kheda district, Kheda movement was also, or you can say Kheda Satyagraha, it was against the peasants. Like the peasants, they were forced to pay the taxes, high taxes, but their condition was not that good. After the Kheda Satyagraha, again Gandhiji was called to Ahmedabad. It was the mill this satyagraha was against the mill owners who are not giving proper wages to their employees. Like only 20% wages were given to the people, and their Anusuya Bain Sarabhai invited Gandhiji to Ahmedabad, where the Sarabhai Ambalal Sarabhai, they were fighting against the rich mill owners who were not giving proper wages to their employees. So it was in favor of the mill workers. Now Gandhiji launched the Satyagraha at Ahmedabad in 1918 to fight against the injustice of non-violence. So this was the journey which Gandhiji started in India and how he introduced Satyagraha. As we have seen earlier that these activities were taking place everywhere in India. Like in Champaran, Gandhiji went to Champaran, then he went to Kheda, Gujarat, and Ahmedabad. So one by one the people, they have started supporting Gandhiji. In between this, as we see the results of this world war also, the British government was frustrated, and the popularity of Gandhiji was also, it was increasing day by day, and he was becoming a national leader and a very prominent personality in India. So the British government, he launched the Rowlatt Act in 1919. Now what was the Rowlatt Act? Under the Rowlatt Act, it was the legislative act which was passed by Imperial Legislative Council in London on March 10, 1919, and it was the act where they were arresting the political activist without trial. Like they the political activist and allowed detention of political prisoners without trial for 2 years. So it was total unjust with the with the political activist, we can say. Gandhiji, he raised his voice against this act, and finally he tried to call the nationwide non-cooperation movement. See, as all these movements were taking place, the people from all the corners of country, they were following Gandhiji. Same this after the Rowlatt Act, when Gandhiji declared that he is going to start a civil disobedience movement nationwide, the Britisher, they got more aware. Now they imposed martial law in Amritsar, and Gandhiji's entry was banned from Delhi. Like he was not able to enter in Delhi. Now in Amritsar, most of the political leaders, they they decided one place, Jallianwala Bagh, where the annual Baisakhi fair was held, and people from nearby villages, you can say that that was the innocent crowd. Those people even are unaware about the movement or unaware about this incident. They also joined that Baisakhi fair, and they all celebrated over there. But in between these political activists, they came there, and they started a peaceful strike over there. But General Dyer, he blocked the exit points, all the exit points, and he opened fire on the crowd. Due to that, thousands of people were killed in the Jallianwala Bagh incident. That was the place on 13th April. Jallianwala Bagh took place. Now see, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, it is also known as Amritsar massacre, took place on 13th April 1919, when acting Brigadier General Reginald Dyer ordered troops to the British Indian Army to fire their rifles into a crowd of unarmed Indian civilians in Jallianwala Bagh, Amritsar, Punjab, killing at least 400 people, including men and women. Over 1,000 people were injured. These are the official record. According to the British government, only 4,000 people were killed, but it was not truth. Okay, because thousands of people were murdered over there. Now after this incident, it was to terrorize the people. it was the, it was the trick of British government, that this way if we will terrorize people, then they will not dare to launch any type of satyagraha or any type of movement for their independence, and they punish the people there. You can see here the picture, as the British government humiliate and terrorize people. So they ordered that the satyagrahis were forced to rub their noses on the ground, okay, and they have to crawl on the street and put salam to all the sahibs means all the, British officers or British sepoy who were there at that time. Now the villagers, they were flogged everywhere. They started running from that place, and the British government started bombardment. So after this, Gandhiji call off the movement, because he never wanted violence. He was the worshipper of non-violence. He always supported satyagraha or non-violence, but this movement soon converted into violence from the Britishers, not from the Indians, we can say. Here we can see the example that this Jallianwala Bagh incident shows the violence from British government, not from the Indians. So after this incident, Gandhiji call off this movement. See, Mahatma Gandhi, now he felt bad, and he was planning to launch a big movement. These movements should not be that short lived. The nationwide movement he started, he thought of to launch. Now we have studied about Khilafat movement. Okay, that Khilafat issue was organized after the First World War. We have discussed this, like Ottoman Turkey lost the war, and this Khilafat issue was raised in India, and it was to support the Khalifa of Turkey. Here this movement was specially to support the Khalifas. So Gandhiji, he decided that if we will launch such movement which can support the Khilafat movement as well as the Indian independence or the struggle movement. So the same time, Gandhiji, he started a non-cooperation movement. This movement was supporting the Indians as well as the Khilafat movement. Why Khilafat? Because Gandhi thought that if he will support the Khilafat movement, then automatically the Muslims will also cooperate with Gandhi, and Hindus as well as Muslim, they both will come together to follow the non-cooperation movement. So at the session of in Calcutta session, September 1920, he started to launch the non-cooperation movement. Here I am giving you a short detail of the sessions of Congress. Okay, we all know that the Indian National Congress was founded in 1885. The first session of Indian National Congress was held in Bombay, Allahabad, and the president was Umesh Chandra Banerjee. Now second was 1886. It held in Calcutta, and the president was Dadabhai Naoroji. In 1893 to 1906, it held in Calcutta, Lahore, and Calcutta again, and it was headed by Dadabhai Naoroji. Now in 1887, Madras, it was the first Muslim presidency. Then we can see that, which is important in your syllabus, that is after 1905, we can say. Okay, 1905, this Congress session was held in Banaras, and it was headed by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Now in 1907 and 1908, it held in Surat, Madras, and Rasbehari Ghosh headed this. After that, in 1909, held in Lahore. Lahore will also not come in, but anyways you should know this. Malviya headed this. Madan Mohan Malviya headed this. And In 1916, the session took place in Lucknow. C. Majumdar, he joined this movement, joined this session. 1917, it held in Calcutta. Annie Besant, she was the first women president of Congress. She headed this. This is very important. Annie Besant, she was the first women president of Indian National Congress. She headed this meeting. Now in 1919, it held it at Amritsar and headed by Motilal Nehru. 1920 Calcutta, it was a special session where Lala Lajpat Rai headed this meeting. Now 1921 to 22, it held at Ahmedabad, and Gaya C.R. Das, he was the head of this meeting. Now in 1923 Delhi, Abdul Kalam Azad, youngest president of Congress. Then in 1924 Belgaum, Mahatma Gandhi, he added this. Now 1925 Kanpur, Sarojini Naidu. Again, this is very important. Sarojini Naidu, the first Indian women president. Annie Besant, first women president. Annie Besant, she was foreigner, and Sarojini Naidu, she was the first Indian women president of Congress. Now in 1928 Calcutta, Motilal Nehru, he was first All India Youth Congress formed by him. And at the end in 1929 at Lahore, Jawaharlal Nehru, he joined this, or he was the president, and he, in this session, the Purna Swaraj resolution was passed. So these were the these meetings or sessions of Congress. Now, non-cooperation movement. What was non-cooperation movement? Mahatma Gandhi, he started non-cooperation movement, and in his book Hind Swaraj, he wrote about the Indians. He blamed Indian to support the British government. Like he addressed that if Indians refuse to cooperate, British rule in India would collapse within a year and Swaraj would come. So this was the statement of Mahatma Gandhi, which he gave in his book Swaraj, Hind Swaraj. Now under this non-cooperation movement, the boycott of civil services, army, police courts and legislative councils, school, foreign goods, everything was boycotted by the Indians. And in the same time, in 1920 Mahatma Gandhi and Shaukat Ali, they launched this movement, and they supported each other to join this movement. Here we can see that the non-cooperation movement was a great movement, and people, they started boycotting this movement, but there were so many reasons of the failure of this movement. This we are going to study in this second heading. Differing strengths within the movement. What were the drawbacks of this movement, or how this movement was in different places? Now they have categorized it in three parts. Like first of all, they have given that how was the movement in towns, next how was the movement in countryside, and the last was that how was the movement for the Swara and the plantation workers. Now three headings are there. We are going to study this second chapter, or about the non-cooperation, in different headings. First of all, in towns, how was the movement in towns? Like in towns, we can see that the students, they left the government schools, colleges, and the school teachers, headmasters, and lawyers, and all the legal practices, even the lawyers in courts and all, they boycotted their job. And this time Justice Party was it was established. Now Justice Party, it was the official party of South Indian Liberal Federation, and it was in Madras Presidency of British India. It was established in 1917 by T.M. Nair and P. Thegeria Chetty. So this was a non-Brahmin party, And Justice Party was basically like see in you can see that although Gandhiji under this under one the umbrella of non cooperation, will say, people they were boycotting the foreign goods. But why the Party was framed? It was a non Brahman party. You can see that at that time still in India the caste system was supported, so the people they organized or they founded one party which was fighting against the social discrimination. Now please you just pay attention over here. It was not only against the British government, but it was against the caste system in society. Okay, and after that we can see it was in the towns that the people they were fighting against the caste system, against the liquor shop. They boycotted liquor shop and the foreign cloth and all. And in between 1920 to 22, the business of foreign clothes or foreign goods was dropped from 102 crore to 57. It was limited, and the domestic scale, like domestic industries or the production of Indian textile mills was went up. We got a great opportunity to show benefit to our textile industry. Now this movement was failed in the city areas, like we are talking about non cooperation movement in the countryside, in the towns. Okay, so this movement, how this non cooperation movement failed in towns, why it failed? The first reason was that the clothes were very expensive. The where the Indian textile or Indian manufactured clothes were very expensive. The poor people could not buy the clothes, could not buy the khadi, we can say, and khadi was not available everywhere. So this was the biggest reason. People they were not having any clothes, they were not getting any option for khadi, so forcefully they switched towards the British cloth. Now second reason, the Indian institution, like the teachers, students, and the lawyers and all, they left their institutions. Now the Indian institutions were not set up properly, and they were not that prominent. I mean, they were not giving them that facility. Okay, so forcefully the student, teachers, and all the government officers, lawyers and all, they had to go back to their work. They had to join the government duties. Okay, so these were the drawbacks in the town areas. Now how was the how was the condition in countryside? Now in countryside, people they divided in two groups, like peasants and tribal. You can say that peasants, farmers and all, and tribal movement. We have studied in class 9th about Birsa Munda, about the Santhal rebellion and all. Okay, so the tribal movement was against the forest law which was introduced by the British government. And the peasant, earlier we have studied about the mill that the heavy taxes they were giving, and how the talukdars and all, they were taking tax from them. So the this peasants movement was supported by Baba Ramchandra. Baba Ramchandra, he supported the peasants. He was a sannyasi who came from Fiji. He was an indentured labor. Indentured, we have discussed earlier that earlier the laborers, they used to sign a contract, and under that contract, the contract would be of 4 to 7 years, and under that contract they used to go to other countries for work, and the work condition was not that good. The indentured labor had to face so many problems, and sometimes they were dead at the workplace. So Baba Ramchandra, he came, he was a sannyasi and indentured labor as well. He came back from Fiji, and in India he supported the peasants. Now again, as in towns we see that the non-Brahmins, the party was formed. So somewhere they were fighting against the caste system. Here the peasants, they were not fighting directly with the British government, but they were fighting against the talukdar. These talukdars were appointed by the British government, and they were landholders who were responsible for collecting tax. You can say tax collectors or the talukdars. Now these talukdars, they used to force the peasants to work without payment, like begar you can also say. They used to force them to work on their land, but they were never used to give them wages for on behalf of that work. So the peasants, they were fighting against the talukdars. Here, under the guidance of Baba Ramchand, in different places, people, they were fighting against begar system and the Nai Dhobi Band. Nai Dhobi Band means Nai barber, Dhobi washerman. Okay, so they also they had stopped giving their the services to the talukdar. Now they stopped giving their services. They stopped their shops to support the non-cooperation. Now you can see how the non-cooperation movement is in the countryside, how it was for the peasants. They were fighting against the talukdars, and under the guidance of Baba Ramchand, different movements were taking place, like Nai Dhobi Band we can say. And at the same time, Baba Ramchand and Jawaharlal Nehru established Awadh Kisan Sabha. Now again lay stress on this sentence. Here we can say that this Baba Ramchandra was a local leader. He was the leader of peasant, and Jawaharlal Nehru, he was a national leader. Now Jawaharlal Nehru, he saw that the in the countryside, these people, they are fighting against the talukdar and all. So he was very clever. He joined Baba Ramchandra and he supported these people. He supported them to fight against the talukdar. So automatically Jawaharlal Nehru, indirectly Gandhiji, he got the support of these peasants. Now what they did, these peasants, they attacked the talukdars and they looted the shop. They took all the control of in their lands. So this way this movement spread in the countryside. Now last one, here they have given one passage, like when Jawaharlal Nehru was supporting the peasant movement, that time he faced one police officer. He was caught by the police officers, and he could see that the people, they are more calm, they were more patient than Jawaharlal Nehru. Here focus on this sentence: for a moment my blood was up, non-violence was almost forgotten. So the concept which Gandhiji gave to the people, that they have to follow the way of satyagraha or non-violence, it was forgotten by Jawaharlal Nehru. For a moment he has written. So if he can lose this feeling of non-violence, then how can Gandhiji imagine that nationwide people, they will not do violence? So we can just imagine that how was the condition. It is the statement of Jawaharlal Nehru that he is saying, for a moment my blood was up, non-violence was almost forgotten. Now in the in next line he is saying that I saw a kisan. The kisans means the people who were peacefully striking over there. They were seated and standing near me, less excited. That means he was more excited. Jawaharlal Nehru was more excited, less excited, more peaceful, and then I was. And the moment of weakness passed, I spoke to them in all humility on non-violence. I needed the lesson more than they. I needed the lesson more than they. That means Jawaharlal Nehru was not that patient as these people were, and they heeded me and peacefully dispersed. So this way we can see the situation of these movements everywhere, how the people they were striking, they all were truly following the idea of non-violence, the idea of satyagrah, idea of Gandhiji, and they were truly following this. But on the other hand, the Congress leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, they themselves were losing control, and they forced themselves to learn something from these people, from the peasants or the kisans. Now, see, after that, this was the peasant movement. Now, how was the tribal movement? Now, tribal peasants, they were very angry with the forest laws. Now, forest law was introduced by the British government, and the Britishers, they were fighting, they were collecting tax from the people, from the forest people. Even they declared them the criminal tribes and all this we have studied in class 9. Okay, so in Godan Hills, Andhra Pradesh, the tribal peasants, they fought the guerrilla war with the British officers, we can say. And why they were fighting? Because it was not giving them permission to enter in the forest to graze their cattle or to collect fuel wood and fruits, and it was also affecting their traditional rights. Okay, so there these people were supported by Sitaram Raju. He claimed that he had some special powers, and he was supporting the tribal movement there in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so Sitaram Raju, he was also supporting Gandhiji. The people, they were addressing him as incarnation of God, like he was incarnation of God. So this way this movement was started in Andhra Pradesh, and he himself was a great supporter of Gandhiji, and he was supporting people or encouraging people to support khadi and give up drinking. So this way we have seen the tribal movement in both the areas, like Godan rebels and the this Alluri Sitaraman and Baba Ramchandra, how this movement was led in. Now, Swaraj in the plantation. How was Swaraj in the plantation? We have seen the condition of Champaran, Kheda. Okay, now we are going to study about the plantation workers in Assam. Now, again in plantation, the workers, their condition was not good. The workers were not permitted to leave the tea garden without permission under the Inland Immigration Act of 1859. They were rarely given such permission. Once they joined the plantation as a worker, so they were not supposed to leave their work or leave the plantation area. This was under the Inland Immigration Act of 1859. Now, what was the act? According to the Inland Immigration Act, the plantation workers were not allowed to leave the plantation field without the permission of plantation owner. They were rarely getting such permissions, and if they tried to escape from there, they were caught and brutally beaten. So they were beaten by the police officer, by the British officers, and by the landowner, we can say. So this condition was very bad, and the plantation owners, they thought that if we'll support this non-cooperation movement, then Gandhiji is going to give us a land. Everyone would be given land in their own villages, and this law will be banned after that. So these people, the people in Assam, the Assam plantation workers, they joined this movement this way. Now they all were imagining that this is the moment when the dream for Swatantra Bharat is going to come true. Now they all were supporting Gandhi, and this movement became very successful. It was not like this movement was successful, like people, they were truly satyagrahi or they were truly non-violent. Somewhere people, they were very violent. The incident of Chora Chori at Gorakhpur, we can see that Chora Chori incident happened on 4th February 1922 in Chora Chori village in Gorakhpur district of Uttar Pradesh. Is very important in the history of national movement. The incident led to killing of 22 policemen and immediate end of non-cooperation movement by Gandhi owing to violence. Now at Chora Chori, 22 police officers were killed by the mob. So forcefully Gandhiji had to call off this movement, call off the Chora Chori movement. Once earlier we have studied where the Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place. It was the violence from British government, and this time it at Chora Chori, this violence were from Indians. So Gandhiji had to call off this movement again. Now this much we have done. Next we'll do in next part.